at 7:30. Our call is scheduled at 7:30. Uh, After that, the major thing that we will be working on is the leadership part.
Okay, we are live everywhere also. So some of the friends are joining on Zoom. It's 6:57. We'll exactly start at 7 p.m. India time. So just since we have one more minute, I'll just give a few more instructions. So friends who are watching on Zoom or who are watching on social media, if you have any questions, you can ask questions. Towards the second half of the session, we'll take up those questions for the speakers. And we will be sharing the LinkedIn thread also where all the speakers are tagged. So in case if you want to ask more questions which you are not able to take during the session, you can ask those questions over there also. Hi, Shweta.
Hey. Hi, guys.
It's 6:58. In a minute, we'll just get started. Okay, so almost 7. Thank you so much everyone for joining in. I'm Jatin. I'm one of the co-founder of eChai Network. This particular session is part of the CoRise Summit, which eChai Network and the WizeNoze Foundation is organizing. So it's our sincere effort to bring amazing speakers from all over the world and create good content which could be useful for a lot of early stage startup founders. We have Ankit with us from WizeNoze Foundation. In a way, WizeNoze Foundation also has an EdTech part in it. So Ankit, if you can briefly introduce about WizeNoze Foundation. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Jatin. Thanks, everyone. And I'm Ankit from WizeNoze Foundation. It's a US-based not-for-profit organization working with a very focused mission of creating high-value jobs through various initiatives such as WizeNoze Entrepreneur, WizeNoze Advantage, WizeNoze Opportunity. And we work right from high school to college students with early stage and growth stage startups and MSMEs to create high value jobs in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And
Awesome.
we're very happy to co-host this session and the CoRise Summit along with eChai for 3 days. Thank you, Jatin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ankit. And with this, my guest appearance is over. And Ritu, who is the co-founder of Cubane Experiential Education, she will be moderating the session. So typically, if this was a physical event, I would have said stage is yours. But now that we have Zoom screen, the Zoom screen is yours, Ritu.
Thank you, Jatin. It's a pleasure to be hosting this amazing power-packed panel. Welcome everyone to the CoRise Summit EdTech panel. And so first we'll start with brief introductions about the founders and their companies. So I'll request Diane, you to start, and give us a brief intro about yourself and your company.
Well, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Diane Janknegt. I'm the founder of WizeNoze. Currently, I'm located in a country called the Netherlands, in the city Amsterdam. The Netherlands has as many people living there as Mumbai, so it's a tiny little country. But we, as a company, have a worldwide or global presence with our strategic office actually in London. So WizeNoze is all about education technology, and then in the sense of that we are trying to get better access from the internet for the cause of education. So what we're doing is we're looking at a curriculum and we're trying to enrich the curriculum with the best results on the internet. And some people think that students can do that themselves. Well, they can't, because it's very, very difficult to find the right information. It's very often driven by commercial results and it's not reliable and too difficult to read. So it's an AI platform that matches the results that are applicable for a certain learning stage to the capabilities of a student. And by that, we are creating an enormous amount of content, which is really needed right now, especially when COVID is asking us all to go online.
Thank you, Diane. Now, Maria, if you could introduce yourself and your stint in the EdTech world, that would be great.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Perillo. I'm responsible for the design of online learning experience at IESE Business School, the University of Navarra here in Spain. But before joining the Navarra University, I was co-founder of ABA English or ABA English, which is a platform for learning English today with more than 30 million students around the world. In 2011, we were 4 of us, and we decided to change family business, mainly local and B2B oriented, into a global, international, and B2C oriented company. I think that was the main shift that changed my entire career, moving from B2B to B2C. And ABA English was born as a startup inside a family company, which was very different. And 9 years ago, the product that we had was completely different, but we decided to maintain the main essence of the course. So we finally launched what actually is the digitalization of what worked before, because we continue to do what the family company has been doing for 30 years. So I think that my experience is what 10 years ago you can call the digitalization of a traditional and effective methodology, which is how you can learn English with an effective method, which can be immersively. But we were pioneers in doing a B2C model for spreading the democratization of this opportunity. So I think that the old ABA English was a course, an English course, and we built an experience around this course. We created the platform, we created the B2C model with subscription model. And when you have a subscription model, you have to build a service. Today, we call it learning as a service. You have SaaS company, you have LaaS company. And I think that we learned a lot from other company that has the same B2C model. For example, Spotify, and also today Netflix.
Okay. Thank you, Maria. That was very interesting. Now I request Shweta to please introduce yourself and GreyAtom. Shweta, you yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hi guys, my name is Shweta Doshi and I'm a co-founder at GreyAtom. GreyAtom is basically a bootcamp, immersive bootcamp style EdTech company based out of Mumbai. And we are working with several organizations globally. The vision for us has been, how do you make people employable in areas of emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, computer vision, NLP, full stack web development. So we're very emerging tech focused and very future of work focused, and making sure that people who come into various programs at GreyAtom, they're able to meaningfully pivot their careers. So whether they are mid-career professionals or whether they are at entry level, these are people who are then meaningfully able to upskill. We do this work directly with consumers. So we have a B2C business as well. And we do it for enterprises. One of our great success stories has been at Barclays London, where we upskilled more than 2,000 employees internally on AI and machine learning, to the extent that they were able to form a COE internally at the end of our programs. It was like an 18-month-long journey. Right now, we are very much growing our program base and learner base in India. Very outcome focused. We're also moving into pay after you get a job kind of a model. And we are partnering with several boot camps outside of India as well. So We have a partner in Canada that's taking our data science and AI program to the Canadian markets. And we have a partner in Sweden who's taking our full stack web development program to the Scandinavian regions. And right now we are very much looking for such partnerships globally as well. So that's a little bit about GreyAtom. And for myself, I've been a computer science grad and been in tech, driving several transformational initiatives for Barclays, for a Canadian retailer. And finally, at my last stint at Nielsen, I saw the gap in the kind of skills people need to have in the emerging tech and what kind of skills people actually came in with. And GreyAtom was born from that vision and that problem statement, that how can we make people more and more employable in areas of emerging tech. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and Gray. Thank you. Very happy to be here on this panel today.
Thank you, Shweta. I guess everyone in the EdTech is really trying very hard to bridge that gap between academics and industry. And it's great to hear what you're doing. And Faye, if we could have your introduction and your company's introduction, please.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invite, Jatina, and introducing me, Ritu. So I'm Faye. I'm the co-founder of NewCampus. We're a modern business school for Asia. So we provide a high quality continuous business education at a fraction of the cost of a traditional MBA. We host live, innovative, and practical classes taught by execs in Asia. So from Zomato, Grab, Netflix, in management, communication, creative thinking, marketing, product, and more. And this really means that people and organizations that cannot afford a $200,000 degree with a 2-year life break can accelerate their network, their skills, their professional development in a way that was previously only really accessible to a small group of people, usually from finance and consulting. Higher education, as we know, is a $2.3 trillion market, and it doesn't work for most people. Our goal is to provide an alternative that's much more affordable, inclusive, and continuously relevant, and ultimately prepare people better for a rapidly changing world. I've been in education technology now for just over 5 years, and as you guys were talking about earlier, it's very exciting to see that it's probably never gotten as much attention as it is receiving now. So it's good to look on the bright side of this die situation globally. So I'm hoping that a lot more innovative changes will be coming after this.
Thank you, Faye. Now, Nour, if you could introduce yourself and the company, please.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Nour Atrissi. I'm based in Beirut, Lebanon, and I'm the founder of TeensWhoCode. As the name implies, so it's our ultimate goal is to teach coding to teenagers. And the vision that we have and the mission that we have always remained the same. However, along the way, just like any other startup, we experimented with different methods in order to reach our goal. The way the company started and still is, we run a flagship summer camp every year in Beirut for 4 weeks, where students come to a location that is like a business hub that resembles a university campus, except that there are companies, accelerators, incubators, startups, corporates in that campus, and students get to experience the adult life while learning technical skills, design, entrepreneurship courses, public speaking courses, mainly all the skills that they need in order to thrive in the current world that we have, in order to build successful tech careers. And most of these skills are not even taught at schools. And if they are, they're being very covered in a very minimal way, in an unstructured way, based on the school's capacities or how much they're excited about teaching technology, how much capabilities, how much resources do they have to do this. So we decided to do this outside of the school in a very fun way in order to attract this age group. In addition to the courses, they also do different types of sports. They visit companies, they talk to founders, CEOs, investors, for them to have an idea, what is it that is waiting for them after graduation, what kind of jobs, because especially in our region in the Middle East, there isn't much orientation for the students in terms of what to major at university. So it's just whatever we're exposed to, what we see from our families, just like doctor, lawyer, engineer, and this landscape kind of change is no longer applies. So this is what we do. We also do a startup competition where students get to virtually create a company, pitch on stage, talk to judges, investors, and mentors, which is kind of like a mini preparation to any entrepreneurial journey they might launch in the future. Over the years, the camp attracted a lot of interest, and Lebanon is a very small country, Beirut is a very small city, and we thought to ourselves, how can we accommodate more people? How can we deliver the same value that we're delivering, but cover more people? And this is when we thought of technology. So I would say TeensWhoCode started as an technology education company, and now it became an education technology company. So 2 years ago, we started working on a product aimed for schools, because what we discovered is that when we first, before the summer camp, we started as just afternoon, after school classes. And we discovered that students are too busy to sign up for coding after schools. They already have to study, they already have tutoring, they already have music and sport courses, etc. So we figured that if instead of them coming to us, we're gonna code to them. So we built an e-learning platform for schools where they can teach coding and computer science in the classroom without the hassle of having to prepare the curriculum, finding very, very senior and expensive teachers, an option that schools cannot afford. So we call it curriculum as a service for the schools to subscribe. So this is it in a nutshell. I'm sure I can get to elaborate on our progress and mostly the challenges that we faced with TeensWhoCode later on during the panel. However, the vision and the mission of TeensWhoCode will always remain the same, and we see ourselves as the building block of the entrepreneurial and the tech ecosystem, that on top of which the other companies build on, because talent is at the core of the ecosystem.
Thank you. Thank you, Nour. You're also solving the problem of identity crisis among teens, and that is a great thing. Now, to get to the questions about growth, because everybody, to start a company is one thing, but to grow and to scale it up, to keep it sustainable, is an altogether different task. So now I'll request the panelists to talk about some of the challenges that they have faced during growth, the growth phase of their companies, any specific incidents they remember which put their company into the growth trajectory, and how they have overcome the challenges. So if you could start with you, Maria, if you could talk to us about the challenges and how you have overcome the growth situation and scaling up.
Okay, so one of the main difficulties that we had when you grow very fast is to manage growth, and you have to manage growth from this different perspective. You have the size of the company, and in our case, we moved from 20 to 80 people in the company. So manage this kind of growth was very difficult for us. And then you have the size of the market that continues to grow, but at the same time you had very big competitor. I can name Duolingo, I can name Babbel. I'm sure that you are familiar with these names, big names. So you also have to manage the brand, the visibility of your brand. So you have to make your brand to grow fast in order to acquire more visibility in specific countries. And then, of course, you have the growth of the monetary growth, because we also experienced double-digit growth. And when you have this kind of revenue and cash flow, you need to invest money properly. We had VC capital investors, Series A and Series B in 2 years, and our investors were very specific in order to make us grow as a very solid product. So you can have you can grow, in my opinion, you can grow in 2 different ways. You can grow fast, or you can grow well. But when you grow fast, you need to be aware of the fact that you are introducing a concept in the minds of the people that cannot be changed quite easily. So we decided to grow well, and we didn't grow fast. And of course, you have to manage these two different situations. You have we decided to stop. After 5-6 years of growing very quickly, we decided that we couldn't face another double-digit growth because we weren't prepared. We didn't have the right talent. We didn't have the right, maybe the right product for that specific situation. And we wait, I think, a couple of years to grow again. And we did it again. We completely changed the product. And in this situation, you have to manage another kind of problem, which is the people in your company that want to grow because they want to work for the biggest company. They want to experiment with AI. They want to experiment with many different technology, and maybe you don't have the need to experiment with this technology. So we were very open with our employees, and we said, hey, we don't need AI to grow. We are a human centered approach, and this is what made us grow in the last 5 years. So we decided not to use AI to grow in a way of experimenting with the product, and we make the product more close to what we had in mind at the beginning. So we simply make the product more user-friendly. We did it well, what we did it before, and it worked. I mean, you don't need to include different technology if you know that this technology is not what you really need in your product. So that was the main challenge, this kind of growing perspective. And then we had the most difficult thing. We experimenting a change in the role of the CEO of the company, but we were able to manage this from a growing perspective because we decided that we need it. I think that you have a stage in your startup growth that you need to have a CEO that works best for this specific moment. At the beginning, we had a very good communicator, for example. Which had to make people be inspired from the moment. But then we needed another kind of CEO, which was which was good in execution, maybe. And you need to, when you need to grow fast, you need to be very good at executing what you have to do. So we changed the CEO, and nowadays I think that we are in a stage where we need to give a step back again. After 4 years, I think after 4 years, the startup needs to breathe, see what you are doing, see what other companies are doing. And if you don't want to lose employees, you need to make a decision. Maybe it's not the right moment to grow again. You need to make your VC investors aware of that. And then maybe the year after, you need to grow faster again.
Thank you, Maria. I understand what you're talking about, the challenges, the operations that come with scaling up. Great point. Shweta, if I could ask you to now list the kind of challenges that you had while growing, or some anecdotes you can talk about that put you into the growth trajectory, that would be great.
Shweta, you have to unmute yourself.
So we believe from beginning that self-paced learning only is not going to get the outcomes that we want in people. We want to have pivoting outcomes and people being able to do things that a real data scientist or a real full stack developer does. And there is no way without them being mentored by one of these kind of people. So though we built a lot of content which was self-paced, and we could, genuinely we could scale just with the content as well. But we wanted to always add context to that content, and that's what we feel makes all the difference. So now we needed like a specific quality of mentors, and globally, because we were growing our learner base across, right? So we needed a very specific quality of mentor who was hands-on, not managing a team only, coding up themselves all the time, mentoring the team. And that was key to our growth, because that was like one thing. If we got that right, then learners would really experience the kind of delight that we were expecting, and then they would move towards the outcomes. So on that front, we initially had challenges where somebody comes in with great experience from the industry and is really a solid professional, but they can't teach well. They can't onboard things to people. And then when that doesn't happen, outcome suffers. And I like to say this, that engagement in an online edtech play is always a leading indicator. Outcome or a completion rate or whatever you call that, that's a lagging indicator. And there's nothing much you can do at that point when the course is over and you see that people haven't completed. So building up that engagement was really critical. We sorted that by putting together a process where every new instructor that we brought in was put in a situation where, like this, the discussion that we are having right now, but I would say a more technical webinar they would conduct, and the attendees would be like just about anybody who wants to learn about that. And then we would crowdsource the feedback. And only when a mentor got, like, let's say a feedback of 4.5 and above on 5 on a particular webinar, they would come in to be mentoring our cohorts. And that process really scaled. And now we can go to any geo and sort of, just jumpstart new operations there without worrying about how's the mentor quality going to be. Because we're fanatic about the quality of our mentors that we bring to the programs. And this is now helping us scale.
Thank you, Shweta. Such a great way. I think all of us find it very difficult to scale up people, rather than products. And so that's such a great tip. I think all the people who are watching would definitely have learned something from that. Thank you. And Faye, now if you could talk please about some of your challenges and some great things that happened that put you to the growth trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us here would have had experience with how much of an awakening EdTech has had. And I think that a lot of it has also followed what the landscape looks like in terms of workforce education, right? What's actually happening in the future of workspace before you can talk about what happens in the future of education. And for us, a lot of that learning has come with, the market being aware of what options there are. So for example, in the early days, a lot of our online facilitation was done with tools like Zoom and Slack and, coordinating that engagement between instructors and learners. But, 5 years ago, people were still discovering whether or not it was appropriate to use Zoom for certain contexts. People were still more sold with offline engagement versus online engagement. So that market timing with your user timing is so critical to kind of understand, where the buyer's mindset is before you start thinking about that solution going. So for us, when we look at the landscape of what COVID has offered, it's really good to see that when the landscape is more educated with different products and services that are out there, it becomes an easier sell, it becomes an easier engagement for education providers to start utilizing what the workforce is actually providing as a base layer. And that has come at all levels, from K to 12 and from higher education and continuing education players, to actually more focus on, the content or the engagement, as Shweta was talking about, rather than just looking at, educating people on how to use a tool.
Thank you, Faye. That was great. I think definitely COVID has made people more comfortable with a lot of tools that they would not have been otherwise 6 months back or say a year back. So that's a great point. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Noor, if we could have the inputs on the same from you, please.
Yeah, some of the challenges, the main challenge that I faced when growing is that the company had two parts, the online part and the offline part. So I kept wanting to grow the summer camps, and at the same time I discovered this solution to a problem that I knew it would work in schools. So I wanted to do the online part as well, which made it really challenging to raise any money, and VCs saw this as a red flag. But I saw it differently. And then I decided to stop pursuing VC money and treat the summer camp as a cash cow that would bring us money, and then we would build our online from that, which put a lot of strain on the resources. Like, it's a very tiny company, it's a startup, less than 10 people, that we need to divide the resources to grow and make our own money and then invest it. I think I learned my lesson here, that I maybe with these little resources I should be focused on one thing and one thing only. And once I decided to drop the online part and focus on the offline, uh, being based in Lebanon, I don't know if any of you have heard, but since last year there have been several problems with the country, starting with the economic meltdown and recently up until the explosion. So the safety is not good, the economy is not good. So having offline programs is extremely challenging right now. So the lesson I learned here is I built something so powerful yet so fragile at the same time, and the company should not rely on one revenue stream that comes from one physical location, no matter how solid that was. Like, we were growing 300% every year. Like, never thought this. Like, when you do your SWOT analysis, you just write the threats because you have to, but you never think that this might actually, something that big, that huge, might just like wipe everything away, you know? And unfortunately, 2020 was the year of growth for TeensWhoCode. Like, I had partnerships set up in Egypt and the United States to start setting up the camps over there. I was also talking to other countries. We had almost sealed partnerships to do that over there. We developed programs for different age groups than the ones that we were serving. So we were differentiating, we're diversifying our geography and our market offerings as well. Unfortunately, we had to kind of like put a pause on this and rethink our strategy now with COVID and all. Maybe the shift should be back on the online part again. Another challenge that was faced is that schools are not ready as much as we thought to teach coding at the full-fledged capacity that we wanted them to. Like, it is the solution to start teaching kids at a young age, or at least teenagers, because they have the capacity, they can absorb this really, really fast. But the school system is built in a way that cannot accept this capacity. Even if we're preparing the curriculum and we're making it very easy, all they have to do is just log in and review. The teacher would just review the course before going to class. It's basically self-paced, but the teacher is there for facilitation and physical interaction. They're still not ready. So maybe the product to build right now, with everything that is going on in the world, is just a platform that helps the schools transition their existing curriculums online in an interactive way, and then maybe coding comes after that. I think that layer was missing, and we were trying to push a product where there was still a gap in what schools can accept.
Yeah, well said, Nour. I think the pandemic has made everyone rethink our strategies. So I hope you get through the geopolitical situation through it very soon. And Diane, if now we could have the challenges that you faced, or something that has just put you into the growth trajectory, that would be great.
Thank you so much, and yeah, it's really very inspiring to hear all the stories of the other founders, and I recognize a lot. So, WizeNoze, we're 6 years around right now, and we are really developing quite some challenging AI technology. So it took us a bit longer than we thought, but right now, especially due to COVID, it actually looks pretty good for us, and we're really accelerating. So I do have a suggestion or a tip that really helped me a lot, because I hear a lot about market timing, and especially now. And Nour, I really feel with you. I mean, your market conditions are just insane. So I really wish you all the best. But there's also a bit of an upside. So there is this very tiny little video that really inspired me when you talk about growth, and it's from TEDx. I think everybody knows TEDx, where you have speakers, and this one is from a guy called Bill Cross. I will send the link. And the name of this 6-minute video is the single biggest reasons why startups succeed. And so what he does, he looks at all the topics that a startup or a scale-up needs to take care of. So he looks at the founder, he looks at the network, at the funding, the technology, VCs, access to money. And he was capable of really identifying the big unicorns. And he was wondering, why can it be that we really know how to spot these great companies, and still some companies miserably fail? And the reason why is very, very actual, actually, because that has to do with one thing, and that's timing. And so if you're too early, the market is not ready for you. If you're too late, there are too many competitors. And so when you are in the education technology area right now, I think this is a moment, COVID is one of those moments where timing could really cause a huge turnaround, as long as you're in the digital environment, of course. But I don't think that lots of startups are starting in the offline business. So massive, there were like 1.5 billion students going online. Everybody is suffering with, oh, how do I get my lessons? How do I get content? How do I get access? Well, there are massive amounts of challenges. So if you are considering growing in the education technology, and even when the market conditions are like super challenging, as they are, schools closed, I still believe that this is the absolute perfect timing from an education technology perspective. And then you need to look, of course, at the real requirements of the user, more than a customer. So for me, the user is really the one who's using technology. What do they need? What are they looking for? What's the journey they have to go through? And if you really listen to that and build a solution, whether it's high ed, K-12, it doesn't matter, vocational, I think the timing is really, really well right now. So if there are people listening and considering to start something in education technology, go for it. It's not easy. Don't think you can do it overnight. It never can happen overnight. And if it would be easy, everybody would do it. Well, it's very, very tough, I think, but it's an amazing journey, and the moment is right to grow right now, I would say.
Awesome. So there are a lot of EdTech founders in the community. So after pandemic, there are a lot of stories about EdTech startups raising millions of dollars. So a lot of those early stage startups, they feel that if they start something, but where are the investors? Nobody responding to me. And some of you have raised funds. So Faye, what would you advise to early stage EdTech founders who would want to raise funds, based on your experience of raising funds?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it goes back to many of the same principles I was speaking about earlier. Is there a market fit with what you are looking to do and what you are looking to raise money for? And, I know that there are some geographies that are, investing into EdTech more willingly than others. So that's something that you should definitely be reflecting on. Is your market actually ready for the solution or the innovation that you are actually building? So, my personal experience has been, I'm originally from Australia. I came to Singapore about 5 years ago when I started my EdTech journey. But, in the investment landscape at the time was really looking for models that had already been proven and built in the US. They were not necessarily had that investment appetite to be looking into something new, into something different. It was more around proven models that could be replicated in this part of the world. So if you're looking at a solution like, especially if you're going into VC money, that's definitely something you should be exploring. What is that solution market fit? What is that innovation to investor fit? And is that something that people are willing to actually make a big bet on?
Okay, awesome. Shweta or Diane, you also raised funds, and anything you would want to share or advise?
Sure. So we raised funds twice, and we raised funds before we had the product market fit. So I can totally resonate with what Faye is saying here. My personal advice would be for EdTech founders to not raise any money till they find their product market fit. I think, VC money, it's good, it's great to boost, jumpstart your journey, but I think a critical step in any EdTech startup's journey is to first identify, 1,000 customers that really love their product. And I always like to say love their product and not like. They really love your product. And if you disappeared from the face of earth tomorrow, they would just be so disappointed. So find those 1,000 users first. And then, and that number can be 1,000, it can be 500 based on what geo you are in. But gain that confidence that, yes, there is this market for my product who really loves the product more than anyone else. And then that's the time you want to raise funds to then scale up in a different geo, or build a better product, or, bring in more team, build your sales organization, whatever it is. But I think you need to have your product market fit first.
Great. Thanks, Shweta. It's such an interesting panel. We want to ask so many questions, but obviously we have the constraint of time, so we can only ask a few questions. Actually, even I have some questions, but unfortunately we don't have the time to ask that. I will ask one question though, which has come from a audience member. So Basab asks, what do you think will be your sustenance and growth strategy once COVID takes a backseat? So once, I guess we can expect COVID to take a backseat, I don't know, in 6 months, 7 months. After that, what would be your sustenance and growth strategy? Diane, if we could have you answer that, please.
Sure. So I really think that COVID has changed a few things that are here to